Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to the Operation Freedom platform and our ongoing Operation Freedom Health and Wellness series. This is a series that Dr. Peter Glidden and I have been doing for almost 3 years now. The focus of our series is on the empowerment of you, which is why Big Pharma, Big Medicine, read that as the AMA, Big Insurance, Big Medicine, Big Government, they all hate us for doing this. I mean, they dislike is not enough. They despise us for providing you information that you're not going to get, unfortunately, from any other source, and for the most part, terrible to generalize, but the majority of our viewers will never get this information from their family doc, their internist, their treating physician. Why? Well, because the big money is against it. You see, the sicker you get, and the sooner you get sick, the more you spend on big pharma and big insurance and big medicine, and the more empowerment you give to those bureaucrats who really have no functional medical knowledge in big government, focusing on health care policy, which is all about, in their world, it should be about your health and wellness, but it's about, well, how much money they can skim off the surface or even below the surface. And this is what Dr. Peter Glidden and I bring to the table. You know, Peter and I are not supposed to get along. Okay, I'm trained as an allopathic physician, an MD. Peter is trained as a naturopathic physician, an ND. NDs and MDs are not supposed to get along because when you divide people, guess what? It's easier to conquer them. Right. And they dislike it that rather than Pete and I doing this, we do this. And then we hold out our hands in helping others, such as you. It is my honor to introduce my partner in this educational series, Dr. Peter Glidden. Now, in addition to being one of the top naturopathic physicians in our country, Pete is also a phenomenal researcher, and he's a phenomenal writer and author. His book should be the cornerstone of your medical library and, frankly, your health. They are of our families. His 2 books, Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, and Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine. Now, you can get access to those books and a huge amount of content from 2 particular websites. Peter, drglidden.com, Glidden.com, and a site that Pete and I both have input into, operationfreedomhealth.com. And full disclosure, the products we're going to talk about later in this presentation today are available on that platform, and purchase of those products on that platform do support our platform so we can keep coming forward and presenting this information to you and for you. It's my honor to welcome back our friend, Dr. Peter Glidden. Pete, welcome back to the Operation Freedom Health platform.
Thanks so much, David. Thanks for the kind words. It's always a pleasure. And you're right. Again, you know, they're trying to divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. And there's room in the world for everybody. But what has not existed for 110 years now is a free medical market. Mm-hmm. The only medicine that people are aware of is MD-directed medicine. And in 1912, through the help of the Carnegies and the Rockefellers, the robber barons of their day, who collectively had more money than the federal government did.
Probably still do.
They convinced Congress to allow the American Medical Association to be the single shareholder of all things medical. It was a hostile takeover. Mm-hmm. Of the medical marketplace, and everybody who was not a medical doctor was kicked off of the bus, labeled as a quack, practicing dangerous and substandard medicine. And this socialization propaganda has been in place for longer than anybody's been alive. It's a monopoly that's hiding in plain sight. and it is the single biggest reason behind all of this jab nonsense, bad science, bad social policy, bad everything. It's only because of the monopoly, which most people are completely unaware of. And so when you and I, from different sides of the track, find common ground, people start to go, wow, what? Wait, what? And I think that's one of the most, besides the information that we bring, I think that's probably a very powerful part of our collaboration, is just seeing that two of us having an amicable relationship is kind of like psychologically jarring in a good way to the listening audience. So I'm happy to be here.
You know, Pete, one of the questions I ask people, I said, you know, when you look at your health, what worries you the most? And some people say, well, I worry about getting cancer. I worry about getting heart disease. I worry about, you name it, right? And my answer is standard to all those people. I go, I understand your concern about cancer, about heart disease, about stroke, about whatever it might be. I go, but you know what? There's something you should be worried about more, because that entity has its fingers in the pie of all those entities that you're worried about, and that entity is the medical monopoly.
Yeah.
Right?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And people look at me at first like, what? But I go, no, look where we're at. Look how much money's being spent. And what are we getting for it?
Right.
And if you look at the common denominator of how money is spent on hypertension, how money is spent on heart disease, how money is spent on cancer. I go, have you ever seen any advertisements about, hey, you know what? Your body is a lean meat and fighting machine for its own health and wellness. And there are things you can do for your own body to, rather than wait and have to treat something, there are things you can do to enhance how your body functions so that you don't have to treat later. I go, when was the last time you saw an ad for that? And people look at me, I've never seen an ad for that. But that's what our series is about, Pete.
100% correct. You remember that show? It was called Network.
Right.
It starred Jeff Daniels, right? Mm-hmm. He was a host of a TV program. He was like the newsroom guy, kind of like the Walter Cronkite of his time. Mm-hmm. And somebody was interviewing him. He was at a college somewhere, and a kid asked him, why is America the greatest country in the world? And he was on stage with a couple of politicians and other people who gave this, this answer, which was, like straight out of the book. So, freedom and all this. And his character said, it's not the greatest country in the world. And he cited poverty statistics. He cited educational statistics. He cited healthcare statistics. He went right down the list, and all of it was true. But that's what's going on with conventional medicine. Conventional medicine is fantastic for military field medicine, trauma care, surgery when it's necessary, complications of childbirth, dentistry, for goodness sakes. But for everything else, it's a failed method. And it's not the best medicine in the world. As a matter of fact, if you look at the numbers, it's really a crappy system of medicine. And then, there's the fact that the pharmaceutical industry in the United States, we pay like 4 times as much for the same drug as people in other countries. It's the same drug, made by the same facility, but we pay 4 times as much for it. Well, why is that? Well, it's because of the pharmaceutical industry. And this is a problem that hopefully this facade of best medical system in the world is starting to crack from all of the coronavirus insanity that's gone on in the last 3 years. People are starting to lose trust, thank God, in conventional medicine. And perhaps that's the silver lining here, because this is the root cause of all of the medical problems that we have in this country. It's not just the, viral stuff. It's everything. I mean, heart diseases, Alzheimer's and autism and chronic disease are getting worse. Just as many people get heart disease now as they did 30 years ago. They have, more aggressive, heroic treatments, so they'll keep you alive after 4 heart attacks, but they don't know what causes these problems, can't prevent them, and all they can do is manage them. And in a situation like that, I mean, it's only a matter of time until that fails. That falls down under its own weight. And so perhaps that's starting to happen now. I think I am starting to see a little bit of that. But nonetheless, my profession, for goodness sakes, I mean, in order to become a naturopathic doctor in the U.S., 4 years pre-med, 4 years naturopathic medical school at a fully accredited by the United States Department of Education naturopathic medical school, 1,000 hours of clinical supervision, national boards, state boards, got to get a license, got to do 25 hours of continuing education credit every year, for goodness sakes. It's full-blown primary care. Licensed and regulated, but wait for it, only licensed and regulated in 24 states, and in 2 states it's illegal. Ha! So what does that mean? Well, that means it's not about the science, it's not about the well-being of the United States citizens, it's all about turf. It's about maintaining the lion's share of the medical market. And this is where we're at. And it's as bad as lay people think it is, who are finally starting to see between the chinks in the armor here. It's 1,000 times worse. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 1,000 times worse than what you are starting to believe it is. It's bad. And, we desperately need to educate people about alternatives that work.
Well, let's talk about alternatives that work, because when we provide alternatives that work, we are truly empowering anyone and everyone who not only listens, but actually acts upon those recommendations.
Yeah, you can give a person a fish, or you can teach a person to fish, right?
That's right.
Better to teach someone to fish. So I think the most important thing to understand here in this context, and I'm a holist, right? So we're trained to always look at the big picture and to try to look at the root cause of everything. So the fundamental distinction here is that in naturopathic medicine, we are trained that the body knows how to fix itself, the body wants to fix itself, the body's trying to fix itself all of the time, and it's our job to develop and deliver therapeutics that support that. As opposed to conventional medical doctor's job in a general family practice, who doesn't, who's not an emergency room doc or doing surgery, is to manage the symptoms, manage the illness, right? With medicines that are oppositionally defiant, an antibiotic, an antidepressant, an anti-inflammatory, right? These treatments may help you symptomatically in the short term, but they don't get to the root cause of the problem. And into the bargain, you get more dependent on the drugs and sicker and weaker over time. And then you need more drugs, and then it's a crap show. And then 80% of your healthcare dollars are spent in heroic efforts to keep you alive for the last 5 years of your life. And who wins that? Who wins that game? The medical insurance cabal, the hospitals, and on top of everything, Big Pharma. So the fundamental concept here is, look, and that was a great thing that you said. I mean, I think I might do an ad like that. I don't know if anybody would run it. And did you know your body has the built-in God-given ability to fix itself? Did you know there are things that you can do from the comfort of your own home to support that? That might not be a bad idea. But nonetheless, this is what I do. This is what my profession has been doing for hundreds of years. And this is what I've been educating people on publicly for the last 10, is these steps. So what are the steps, man? If I got high blood pressure, what do I do? Well, you go to the website, you point and click. I tell you what to do. Is it 100% effective 100% of the time? No. Might be 50% effective, might be 25% effective. I don't know, but you should slam these doors and kick these tires, because you don't know. You got to give your body a fighting chance. And so you should apply these ideas. You should apply these protocols and see how much traction you get. I was just on a part of my subscription service at my website is a live chat. I do 2 hours of live chat with my subscribers every week. 1 hour on Tuesdays, 1 hour on Thursdays. And just yesterday, I had a subscriber on from Florida, from Sarasota, Florida. His first name's Mike. He gave a testimonial, and it was completely, we didn't request it. He just spontaneously gave it. It took him 6 months to do it, but he's finally off of all his high blood pressure medicines. He was on 3 different high blood pressure medicines. And most of the symptoms that he was experiencing in his life, low energy and insomnia and a bunch of other things, were a function of the drugs that he was taking. It wasn't, his physiological imbalance. It was a side effect of the meds and how the meds were interacting with each other, and holy smokes. So he followed the advice that I have online. He came to the live chat. I helped fine tune it a little bit. It wasn't much. And 6 months later, he's off of all his blood pressure meds. He feels great. And his blood pressure is great. I mean, is this going to happen 100% of the time? No, but this is the possibility here. This is the undiscovered country of what myself and my colleagues do. And people should have been taught this stuff in high school, honest to God.
They should have. And
they
should be.
So
it's not happening.
Knowledge is power in this regard. And the sad fact of the matter is, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why, all you have to do is turn on TV and count the number of pharmaceutical ads you see.
Right.
You are not going to get this information, even though it's science-based, clinically verified, developed and delivered by licensed physicians. You're not going to get it in the mainstream. You're simply not going to get it in the mainstream. And, maybe there's 100 medical doctors in the world that understand it, support it, and appreciate it. And you're the leader of that pack. But people are just not going to get this information anywhere else. And so that's why, our collaboration and the stuff that we do is important, because it points people in a good direction here. And this is very important because, we can wait for the white hats to rally.
Yeah.
We can wait for the asteroid to hit and, reset everything. We can wait for Donald Trump to rise again. Good luck. Right. We can wait for this to happen from the top down, or you can just say, screw all that. I'm going to take steps to empower myself, and I'm going to do it today.
And let's talk about those steps, Pete, because it's critical. The sooner people do this, the sooner they're going to see, I believe, potentially very positive results.
And the irony here, David, is that it's not rocket science.
No, it's not.
Anybody who owns an automobile understands that, I probably shouldn't put diesel fuel into an unleaded engine. I probably should not do that. And it'd probably be a good idea if every 6 months or so I get the car tuned up. Get the fluids topped off, get everything checked out, make sure everything's okay. Yeah, well, that's probably a good idea. Replace the fluids, put air in the tire. It's not a bad idea. Well, it's exactly the same with the human body. People need to stop eating food that's hurting them. And we've identified 12 foods. It's called the 12 Bad Food List. That information is free at operationfreedomhealth.com.
In video format at the top.
Look at those foods. Eliminate those foods from your diet, number one. Number two, you must, and this is mandatory, this is not optional, there are 90 nutrients which are essential to the health of the human body. And an essential nutrient means the human body needs it, but it cannot make it. These essential nutrients used to be more abundant in the food than they are now. They never were all there, ever. But in the past, there were more of them than there are now. Now there's even less. And the consistent reduction of essential nutrients in the food that we're eating, plus the increased consumption of all the wrong foods all the time, are two of the main drivers of chronic disease. And then the automobile metaphor is perfect. You put diesel fuel in the engine, the car is going to run like crap if it runs at all. And if you never tune up, it's only a matter of time until the engine catches fire. There's nothing wrong with the engine. You just didn't have enough oil in it. So we nutrify the body with the 90 essential nutrients, which are found in the Foundation Pack.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing this for 34 years, man. 34 years now. I just had my 34-year anniversary last week. And of all the nutritional supplements I've seen, and I've seen a lot in 34 years, because this is what my profession does. Mm-hmm. My profession is the gatekeeper of this industry. Mm-hmm. The most effective nutritional supplements are found in the Foundation Pack. That's why I'm an advocate of the Foundation Pack, because of all the stuff I've used in 34 years, this stuff is the most effective. So I think we're going to go with that. Not all chicken soup is the same. Right. Not all wine is the same. There are differences. And these differences are important. So my clinical experience leads me to recommend this stuff. And this is the initial two things people need to do. Number one, stop eating food that's coming up the works. Number two, fill your nutritional tank up on a regular basis, and then see what happens. See how you feel from that point moving forward.
And Pete, educate our listeners on the components of the Foundation Pack.
So 4 supplements involved in the Foundation Pack. One is called Beyond Tangy Tangerine. That's an interesting name. It has minerals, vitamins, handful of amino acids, antioxidants, prebiotics, probiotics, and antioxidants. Did I already say that? Mm-hmm. In a really interesting formula that it's a powder form that you dissolve in water, but the formula of the crystals itself, the powder, is really cutting edge. And it was put together in such a way that the individual components, and there's hundreds of individual components, they don't separate. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's not like all the minerals end up at the bottom, right, and then we got the vitamins, and it's not like that. And it dissolves really easily in water. It doesn't like clump up, and it's hard to swallow and like this, right? So it was a very sophisticated formula with the supplements themselves, and the form that they were in was also cutting edge. That's the first component. The second component is a liquid calcium supplement, the most absorbable calcium supplement I've ever seen. Calcium arguably is one of the most important nutrients for the human body. You need at least 1,200 milligrams of that a day. There's no way people get that just from eating food. Then there's a liquid plant minerals. Minerals are 66%, two-thirds of your body's nutrient needs. Two-thirds. And you can't get these in food. You can't do it. Good luck trying. You're not going to be able to do it. You will fail. Here they are in a bottle. All you do is swallow it. It's easy breezy lemon squeezy. And the last thing is fish oil in a gel cap that's been inserted into the capsule in a nitrogen blanket, so it doesn't oxidize while it's in the gelatin capsule. 90 essential nutrients right there, easy to take, doesn't taste bad, and honest to God, I mean, there are a couple of reasons why my profession is still, we're still swimming. We haven't drowned yet. We're still above water. We're still above ground. One of the reasons is that more often than not, we get results. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's, the metaphor is intended here, pun intended, but the proof of this pudding is in the eating. So I don't care if you understand the research that goes behind all of this. I don't care if you understand what a clinically verified means. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you know how to read medical research literature. It doesn't matter. What you do and will understand is how you feel.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So take the supplements, clean up your diet, and see how you feel. Because honest to God, you don't know what you're missing. I mean, you wouldn't go outside in freezing cold weather to shovel your driveway in your bathing suit. You wouldn't do that. Because the stress of the cold would hurt you, could kill you. You'd bundle up. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Life is a great big bowl of stress, and you need to bundle up nutritionally. You need to do that just in order to, not get slammed by the stress of life, which is everywhere all the time. This is a win-win-win situation for everybody concerned. And you should the listening, if you're in the listening audience and you haven't tried the foundation pack, you haven't cleaned your diet up yet, well, I don't know what the heck you're waiting for. And what are you waiting for? You're waiting for Donald Trump to give it the 2 thumbs up? Good luck.
Good luck.
Give it a try, and then let us know how you feel, for goodness sake.
And as we mentioned earlier, the more information, as well as the video on the 12 bad foods, as well as the supplements themselves, are available on OperationFreedomHealth.com. Peter also has a wealth of information, in-depth information, at his website, drglidden.com. And as Peter mentioned, he has a subscription service there where he does his interactive calls with his subscribers, twice a week, Pete?
Yeah, twice a week. That beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
It surely
Plus,
does.
the protocols are all outlined.
Yeah.
I mean, you got high blood pressure, point and click. You've got asthma, point and click. I'll tell you what I do with my patients. I'll tell you what you should do initially. See if it works. What do you got to lose, for goodness sakes? It's worth giving it the old college try. And again, what separates this information from everybody else, there are a lot of alternative health websites in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Mercola, I think, the most famous. But my information is clinically verified.
Mm-hmm.
My information doesn't come from the company that makes the supplement that does the research on the supplement. It's not like that.
Right.
My information comes from what has Dr. Glidden and his colleagues who do this for a living, what have we actually seen work?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In real time with real patients. And that's what I bring to the table. And that's why people should listen to it, because it's not perfect, but it's not that bad either, and you should check it out.
And everyone should check it out. To be educated and to be empowered makes one less of a potential victim of the monopoly.
100%.
And that's not hyperbole.
Right.
That's fact. Pete, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. I'd like to thank you folks for joining us today. Until next time, Dave Janis signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.